she was everything.
Yeah.
She was loved by everybody. It wasn't, it wasn't nobody that she didn't touch that didn't get intoxicated by her love.
You tore up our whole family, bro. Whoever it is, man, we can't judge you, man. That's not our place. We just want justice for my grandson and her mother, man. Please.
Beautiful, artistic, lovable. That's the polite version, the kind people say when a woman is too alive, too driven, too something to be reduced to a headline. Yet, at 28, Imani Parrish was the walking rebuttal to excuses. She clocked in at the shipyard painting steel like it owed her money, smiling through fumes, fatigue, and a system that chews women up and calls it overtime. Newport News Shipyard knew her as dependable, cheerful, and hardworking, the kind of employee managers praise because she never complained, even when life gave her plenty to complain about. And when her shift ended, Imani didn't rest, she reinvented. She ran a business under her own name because she believed in putting her signature on her future. Custom shirts, decals, cups, home goods, all natural hair masks for women trying to grow something, hair, confidence, independence, while the world kept cutting them down. This wasn't hustle culture cosplay. This was survival economics. She was the sole provider for her 10-year-old son, carrying motherhood the way Black women always do. Quietly, competently, and without applause. Smiling wasn't optional. It was armor. But nothing drains a woman faster than dragging dead weight that refuses to drown. Enter David Gregory Anderson, 30 years old, professionally stagnant, emotionally explosive, and spiritually allergic to responsibility. A man so thoroughly rejected by friends and family that Imani, out of misplaced loyalty and an overqualified heart, became his final refuge. He didn't move in with ambition. He moved in with entitlement. No job, no plan, no exit strategy, just a mouthful of arguments and hands itching for control. She eventually saw what everyone else already knew. David wasn't misunderstood. He was violent, insecure, and furious at the sight of a woman evolving without him. So when Imani did the unthinkable, met a new man, imagined a better life, and started planning her escape, David didn't see a breakup. He saw eviction. He saw irrelevance. He saw the clock running out on his rent-free existence. And that's when the rage kicked in. Because men like David don't fear losing women, they fear losing access. And when he realized her future no longer included him, he made himself very clear. If he couldn't live off her light, he was prepared to burn the whole house down just to make sure she never shined again. Welcome to the American Crime Femicide channel. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for future uploads. By the evening of April 30th, 2025, the silence had become impossible to ignore. Imani wasn't answering her phone. Not texts, not calls. And most unsettling of all, not the repeated calls from her 10-year-old son. He tried again and again, waiting for the familiar response that never came. For a child who knew his mother's routines, her reliability, her constant presence, the quiet felt wrong in a way he couldn't yet explain. Parrish's mother felt it too. Something wasn't right. She asked her partner to go to Imani's home on the 600 block of Antrim Drive in Newport News to check on her. When they arrived, he made a decision that would spare the child from a lifelong scar. He told Imani's son to stay in the car. The boy waited outside, anxious and confused, while the adult went inside alone to look for answers. Inside the home, the silence was unsettling. Nothing immediately screamed emergency, but nothing felt normal either. As he moved through the house, his attention was drawn to the bathroom. There was blood, not a small smear, not something easily explained away. Enough blood to stop him cold. As he looked closer, he realized the blood didn't end there. A trail led from the bathroom, across the floor, and toward a bedroom closet. He followed it. When he opened the closet door, the truth revealed itself fully. Parrish's body was inside. She had been wrapped tightly in a comforter soaked with blood and shoved into the closet as if hiding her could undo what had already been done. Only then did he call police. When officers arrived, the scene spoke volumes. Detectives quickly determined that the bathroom was the starting point of the violence. The medical examiner later ruled that Imani died from blunt force trauma to the head. Investigators immediately noticed something chillingly out of place. The toilet tank lid was missing from the bloody bathroom. It didn't take long to find it. Inside it, investigators found bloody clothing, white sneakers, a white tank top, and black pants. In the pocket of the black pants was one of David's debit cards. Police would later confirm that Anderson had been seen wearing identical clothing at a local convenience store earlier that same morning, placing him in those clothes shortly after the killing. The blood trail inside the home confirmed what the evidence suggested. After Imani was killed in the bathroom, her body was dragged through the house, leaving blood along the way, before being wrapped in a comforter and stuffed into a bedroom closet. This was not panic. This was an attempt to hide a crime. As detectives canvassed the building, neighbors provided another critical piece of the timeline. Multiple residents reported seeing David pacing back and forth in the hallway earlier that day, visibly agitated. He wasn't rushing out. He wasn't calm. He was lingering, watching, moving restlessly in the hours surrounding Imani's death. Investigators soon learned that Anderson had been living with Parrish. He wasn't a stranger or a random intruder. He was someone she had known since high school, someone she had trusted, someone she had allowed into her home even as their relationship deteriorated. Friends and family later described him as a man who had burned bridges everywhere else, estranged from friends and family, unstable, unemployed. Imani's home had become his last place to land. In the days leading up to her death, that access was slipping. Parrish was moving forward with her life, making plans that didn't include Anderson. Plans to grow, plans to lead. For a man whose stability depended on her generosity, those plans weren't just rejection, they were eviction. And after Imani was killed, the exploitation continued. Police discovered that Anderson had used Parrish's car to drive to a pawn shop. There, he pawned her television. The TV still had Imani's blood on it when it was sold. Not cleaned, not wiped down, just loaded into her vehicle in exchange for cash. While her son sat waiting in a car, while her phone rang unanswered, while her body lay hidden in a closet, her belongings were being turned into money. Detectives reconstructed the timeline meticulously. The unanswered calls from her son, the neighbors seeing Anderson pacing the hallway, the violent bathroom assault using the toilet tank lid, the dragging of her body through the house, the concealment in the closet, the disposal of the weapon in bloody clothes in the trash bin, the use of her car, and the pawning of her TV, still stained with her blood. Every path led back to David.
Imani was laid to rest today, and her friends and family say learning more disturbing details surrounding her death has been hard as police still search for the person responsible.
Beautiful, just a beautiful person, all inside and out.
She just want us to be all right. You heard me? She just want us to be all right.
Nicole Parrish says she's always had a tight bond with her daughter, Imani.
We share location, talk every day. She called me for anything, everything.
But after April 30th, there would be no more calls.
I'm going to miss my daughter.
Imani Parish was found dead inside her residence with what authorities called suspicious injuries. Tonight, court documents shed light on just how she was found. Newport News detectives say Parish's body was discovered shoved in a bedroom closet, wrapped in a comforter that was soaked in blood. There was also a trail of blood from the bathroom that led to the closet.
It hurt. It really hurt.
The medical examiner's office says the cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head. At the time of Parish's death, her body and clothes had pieces of glass on them. Her cell phone is yet to be found. But Imani's loved ones say they are hopeful that police can find out who is responsible for the heinous crime. They believe it could have been someone close to Imani.
And she really cared about that person. She really cared, but justice, I hope, will be served.
Detectives are now requesting an additional search warrant for the apartment. Parish's family has just this to say to whoever did this.
Turn yourself in, please. Please.
In the weeks that followed Parish's death, The house on Antrim Drive sat heavy with answers that refused to stay buried. Detectives worked methodically, reconstructing her final hours piece by piece. They traced phone records, reviewed surveillance footage, interviewed neighbors, and followed the physical evidence left behind in the wake of violence. Every detail mattered. Every movement was documented. Nothing about the scene suggested chaos without direction. It suggested purpose. Neighbors spoke about what they saw that day. About a man pacing the hallway, restless and agitated, lingering instead of leaving. Investigators followed that thread. They followed the blood trail that began in the bathroom and ended in a closet. They followed the missing toilet tank lid, later recovered shattered in a trash bin outside, alongside bloody clothing and a debit card that didn't belong to the victim. They followed the trail to a pawn shop where Imani's television, still marked with her blood, had been exchanged for cash using her own car. While her loved ones waited for answers, detectives were building a case brick by brick. This was no mystery fueled by coincidence. This was evidence stacked deliberately, patiently, and with intent. By the time investigators finished retracing the steps taken after Imani's life was stolen, the picture was no longer blurry. It was devastatingly clear, and eventually, the silence that followed Imani's last unanswered calls was broken. On June 2, 2025, more than a month after Parrish was found hidden in her closet, Newport News police arrested Anderson and charged him with first-degree murder. The charge reflected what the evidence showed: intent, deliberation, sustained violence, and actions taken afterward to conceal and profit from the crime. For Imani's mother, the arrest brought no comfort. Knowing who killed her daughter did not soften the loss, it deepened it. The knowledge that someone Imani cared about had beaten her to death with a toilet lid, dragged her body through her own home, hidden her in a closet, thrown his bloody clothes in the trash, pawned her television with her blood still on it, and used her car to do it was a grief no parent should ever have to carry. For her son, the damage was permanent. The unanswered calls, the waiting in the car, the absence that will stretch across every milestone of his life. Courtrooms and convictions cannot replace bedtime routines, encouragement, or the woman who built her entire world around him. Imani was not failing in life. She was rising as a woman, as an entrepreneur, as a mother. She worked full-time. She ran her own business. She planned carefully. Her future was taking shape. That growth was cut short by a man who refused to evolve, who mistook access for entitlement, and who turned his stagnation into violence. David now sits in custody. Parrish remains in memory, and a child is left with silence where his mother's voice should have been. Rest in peace, Imani Parish.